Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Peel. Welcome to the Global Purpose Expedition. It's great to be here with you. First, I just want to acknowledge you for taking the risk, for gambling your time, your energy, and your resources to awaken and unleash your high definition life purpose, to get the power to actually move it into the world and create your career and just really your whole life from this place of soul awareness. So, welcome. So, this is the first week, and we're going to hit you hard, meaning this is a new way of relating to yourself. So we're going to do a couple powerful exercises. The first is called Entelechy, and there's a recording that you'll listen to. Now, the Entelechy exercise has you connect with a part of you that is 1,000 years old, has been doing nothing but personal and spiritual development work for 1,000 years. When we access this part, we get basically new information. And I'll explain more what that means, but it's a really powerful visualization, so stay tuned. And the reason for bringing on your high definition life purpose, for going in to your Entelechy exercise and exploring all these different parts, the call, the vision, mission, the crafts, etc., is that when that comes online, it's like your whole life just electrifies and eventually aligns, and you begin to see like purposeful traction. So when I was doing my purpose discovery work with Jonathan Gustin back in 2011, I had set the intention, so I was maybe 3/4 of the way through it, and I'd set the intention that morning to just have a whole day that was going to be devoted to my purpose. So I went to a yoga class and set the intention in the yoga class, and then got a massage. And during the massage, this just vivid vision occurred. And it was of a product that was made of this more or less indestructible cord called paracord. It's this nylon rope that was woven. And it was this kind of idea that we could make things that were spiritual and useful. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. It took everything I had just to not jump off the massage table. And so I went home and I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, designed products, launched a website, started telling the story of the brand. And it was just like this vision of this product ended up, creating about 50 other products. We got a business partner and we ended up launching quite publicly on TechCrunch. We got other press in USA Today and Huffington Post. And it was powerful, right? Like a successful purpose-driven venture. Distributing conscious, purpose-driven goods, things that were durable, but also had a deeply spiritual significance to them. But that moment when it struck, that moment is the first of many moments when you get that part of you has been obscured, and just like somebody pulled the curtain back and said, "Remember this?" And that's how it was for me when I sitting there on that massage table, like that vision of that product. It was like somewhere like dormant in my tissues, and when the massage therapist found the right spot, just like, and my whole life changed. Within a month, I had quit my startup down in Silicon Valley, and shortly thereafter, I moved to the East Bay. Left San Francisco, moved to the East Bay, and started just reforming my whole life with my purpose. And not into this kind of like, oh, I must change, but just my decisions shifted. I started taking better care of myself, started to clean up my relationships in a powerful way, especially with my dad. I was really dysfunctional. And I just started setting boundaries with him in a way that worked for me. I also left a relationship that wasn't working and began, what would be the first of many soulful relationships. I'm now in my last one. Happily engaged. But it began in that moment. And so, as we begin to dive into your Entelechy, there could be that vision. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that is what's possible, where a vision could strike you so beautifully and largely. And so I want to create the possibility for that. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay too. We've got 10 weeks together. There's lots of work to do. But I want to create the possibility that many of you, if not all of you, actually have something, that you get something this week. So every week, I'm going to introduce each exercise. I'm also going to share a quote about purpose that is instructive. So this first quote comes to us from Montaigne, who was a French philosopher, kind of late Renaissance, early Enlightenment. And he said that the great and glorious masterpiece of humanity is to know how to live with purpose. Now, as you all know, and we all know now, like the science supports this. It's irrefutable. When you know your purpose, you are more likely to lead. You have higher levels of wealth and income, better relationships. You're more attractive. You're healthier. You make the world a better place. You're more tolerant. You're more generous. I mean, all these things that most people, most cultures regard as good, like success, love, health, that sort of stuff. That's what Montaigne's pointing to. And so he was articulating this in a day before we really had modern science. But he was sharing, he's like, this is the masterpiece. This is what Maslow would call self-actualization, what Frankl would call, logotherapy, like having a deep order to one's life that allows you this kind of positive trajectory, not dealing with life's problems or complaining that life isn't working, but you're positively oriented. You're moving with a vector and with velocity into the world. And so, Montaigne was somebody who had that. Like he spent a lot of time writing. He's like literally the first essayist, and his work influenced Descartes and Freud. And so it can be, a lot of his writing is actually kind of a foundation of modern psychology. It's the bedrock on which Freud and Jung and Frankl and Maslow stand. And where a lot of these leading thinkers in Western thought, psychology, philosophy, spirituality sit is that when you find your purpose, your life starts to work. And it's not a one and done thing, right? It's an incredible achievement. Like, it was a great ecstatic experience to have that vision, but it's evolutionary. So your purpose is a lifelong relationship, and we're going to begin to cultivate that relationship today. So you can kind of think of it like a lover, like that soul connection that you are meant to serve first. You're meant to serve it before almost all of your relationships, meant to serve it before your career, meant to serve it before your happiness. And it requires this kind of constant embrace, this constant courting. And once we begin to integrate purpose, and we start to see new ways to express it, a new order of what's possible for purpose in our own lives starts to come online. So today we're going to begin that journey, and you're going to do the Entelechy exercise. And what that means is you will connect with the fully actualized, perfected self, that person who knows your life's purpose, who's lived your life and then some. This is like a 1,000-year-old version of who you are. Now, this exercise is one that has been used throughout various traditions, but it's been called Entelechy by Gene Houston, who's a notable, master in this space, as well as Jonathan Gustin, who was my purpose guide and is the founder of the Purpose Guides Institute. And so this comes to you from a pronounced heritage in the purpose space. So to be in a purpose discovery exercise, this requires that you inhabit a very quiet but creative, playful, and curious space. So it's sandwiched between the predictable and the fantastical. So predictable meaning like it wouldn't be creative to say that you're going to get a 5% raise this year. It would also not be necessarily creative to say that you're going to win the lottery in every state on the planet by next month, right? So that's kind of fantastical. Like, also in the realm is that, if you're 5'3" and 140 pounds, that you're going to be the slam dunk champion of the NBA. Like that's in that realm, right? So the realm in between is what we call the imaginal realm. And this word comes from imaginal cell. So we know this word, right, from the chrysalis. So when the caterpillar forms a cocoon, it starts dissolving itself. And before there's any semblance of a butterfly, these imaginal cells start to emerge. And at first they're destroyed, but eventually their rate of production increases beyond the rate of destruction. And we begin to imagine this new form. So it's using the same DNA, the same molecules, the same food, but creating an entirely new way of being, this butterfly, right? So this imaginal realm is, like I said, sandwiched between your predictable and your fantastical abilities. And inside this realm, this is where the soul speaks. So your imagination is access to soul language. And soul language meaning like things related to your purpose. And soul language can come in through a variety of different ways. It can be verbal, so you can hear words or see words or just have thoughts of words. But it more often than not, it's visual. It can be a symbol or an image. It can be a scene. It can have sounds. It can even have smells, feelings, emotions. There's literally nothing in this realm that you'll experience that isn't or that couldn't be considered soul language. And so as you start to move through this exercise, don't ignore anything. If something that feels absurd comes up, capture it. Something that feels like, oh, that couldn't possibly be meaningful. Write it down. And so once you're finished with this exercise, you are not going to look at anything that came through. And in the evening, before you go to bed, you're going to ask that your entelechy, this fully actualized version of yourself, visit you in your dreams. And it may or may not, but you're going to create the space to have an entelechy experience in your dreams. And in the morning, keep your notebook near your bed, and you're going to write down whatever came through. And then sometime that next day, you are going to do the entelechy exercise again. And from both of these entelechy exercises from the dream, you're going to start to flush out what your purpose might be. Not to say that like you're going to do everything you can to interpret all the data, but you're actually going to visualize your purpose and hang it on a tree. So we're creating this purpose tree mandala. This is the beginning of your daily purpose ritual. So this mandala is a circle, and there's a purpose tree, and I'll share a link to that shortly. And on that tree are all 10 aspects of your purpose. So whatever information came through related to those aspects, you're gonna, in pencil, write it out. So you'll first draw a tree, and then label each part of your purpose, from craft to vision, mission, flow, powers, core virtues, story, craft, and worldview. You'll write all that stuff out, and then you'll put down any imagery, any input that came out of these entelechy exercises around the outside of your tree, and you'll do it in pencil because some stuff might come into clearer view, or some stuff you might be like, that actually doesn't fit anymore. That maybe that belongs down in virtues, and so there's a playfulness and a creative process here. So that's why we're going to use pencil. And then each morning for the duration of these 10 weeks, you're going to connect with this purpose tree mandala. So it's going to evolve over time. So you can kind of think of it like your sacred altar of sorts, where this purpose tree is the intention and potentially the future of what your life is going to be like. So you just want to spend time with it. You don't want to try to force yourself to remember things or try to find something new. Just spend time with it and see if anything new emerges. And you're going to do this every day. This is what's going to be your purpose ritual. So once you do your 2 entelechy exercises and your dream inquiry, you then create this purpose tree mandala and then put it someplace that you could see it every day. So you can put it in the bathroom, you can put it on a door that you walk by, or someplace, while you're brushing your teeth, you know, but do it every day. That way, this discussion, this inquiry will stay with you for the remainder of our course. And your purpose tree will actually get fuller and fuller and fuller. Now, I know that's already a lot. And there's one more thing. So each week, you are going to share what you're getting with one person in your life. So the first piece of that is actually writing down the 20 people who are closest to you. Now, it doesn't mean that you talk to them all the time. You just have a fondness for them. Like I've got buddies from grade school and high school that I talk to once every 5 or 10 years. Some of them are quite close, cousins, I don't talk to all the time, but they're quite close. So you're going to write down the 20 people who are closest to you. And then each week you're going to pick somebody from that list and talk to them, get on the phone with them, or you could do a Facebook video or live stream or FaceTime, whatever works for you. You're gonna get on the phone with them, actually, reconnect with them, and then share what you're getting, because your purpose actually, it can't stay in here. It has to live in conversation. So as you start to verbalize what it is that you're doing, what you're getting out of this work, that's when it starts to take root. So if you want your purpose just to be an intellectual construct, you should do another course that doesn't have you ever talk about it. But if you want your purpose to be something lived, be something real, you're going to have to actually share it. And we're going to begin this week. So you're going to pick somebody on that list that you're going to share what you got out of your IntelliKey exercise. That could just be like, I'm taking this program, and I did this exercise and I didn't get anything, and I guess I'm wondering, and whatever meaning you're making out of that. Or it could be like, I did this thing and I got this vision for the world that it so inspired me. I want to share it with you. So that's what's called a purposeful share. Now, for those of you who have done a lot of personal development work already, there's another opportunity to kind of kick it up a notch. So once you share with them, you can actually see if there's a way that you have acted with them in the past that isn't aligned with how you understand your purpose now. So, we're all evolutionary, we're all growing and developing. And if you're like me, you upset a lot of people growing up. I mean, I was a jerk, I was misogynist, racist, anti-Semitic, classist, elitist. I was a total jerk. Just picture, like 6'2" white guy, Ivy educated, former investment banker, venture capitalist, thought he was king of the world and treated everybody like crap. And so I had a lot of cleaning up to do. And I'll give you an example. Like, so my mom, what I realized was that, after my purpose came online, how I was being with her was not a match for that. Like, I was being kind of like diminishing and judgmental. And basically, she'd call and I'd be like, how quickly can I get this phone call over with? But that's not actually who I am. Like, how I understand myself to be is courageous, compassionate, having integrity, being playful. I was not being that way with my mom. I wasn't listening to her. Just like, okay, Mom, great. Talk to you next week or 2 weeks from now. And so I called her and I cleaned it up with her. I said, hey, Mom, I've been operating in a way with you that is not consistent with who I am. I want to have a great relationship with you. And when we talk on the phone, I act as if it's a burden. It's a chore that I have to listen to you. And I'm sorry for that. And I want to create something new. So over the past, decade or so, my mom and I have taken on actually having a great relationship. And out of this work and related work, we just said, okay, well, let's have a great relationship. So, we've done personal development programs together. We've traveled together. I took her to a wedding down in Argentina. She took me to hike the Inca Trail. We've done the Grand Canyon. We've done Habitat for Humanity. And so I began to purposefully reformat my relationship with my mom. And it meant that I had to just choose to be my purpose and not to be my old way of being, my reactions to her. And it's not going to be easy, right? It's not like a one and done thing. but it begins now. And so that's what these purposeful shares are about. So you'll pick one person from that list of 20 to share what you're getting out of the IntelliKey exercise. And if you see something that needs to be cleaned up, see if there's something that you haven't been responsible for in that relationship, or that's out of integrity with how you understand your purpose to be, you can clean it up. Just say, I'm sorry. Let's create something brand new. So that's week one. And welcome. Share and enjoy this process. Give yourself to the mystery, and you will not be sorry. We'll see you next week.